is to literally put emotion into their brand. So whenever you see a brand, you feel this emotional resonance or emotional pull towards it. So it's like me and Chanel. I'm a Chanel girl. Anytime I get anything Chanel, it doesn't matter what it is. And I'll give you an example.
My name is Sugira Rubasha, the co-founder of the Rubasha Family Podcast. Now, I know you have a story to tell. I know you have a mission and vision that you obsess constantly about, and you're solving problems in the marketplace. So I want to sit down and get your story. I want to hear the real juice and authentic of who you are, because at the end of the day, people want to know about you. They care about you as a human being. So this is your chance to come on the Rubasha Family Podcast and be part of our Founder Series. We are hosting a Founder Series with entrepreneurs from all over the world who had an imagination to create their business. We want to know you, the person, and how you're solving problems in the marketplace. So if you want to get in touch, fill out our quiz. Now, the quiz is a way for us to qualify you to see if you can come on the show. We can really see how powerful your brand is, where you are, so we can have you as an industry expert to come and tell your story. Business and life is all about communication. How can you tell stories, and how can I sit down and ask you questions that are going to get to your soul? See you soon.
My name is Sugira Rubasha, co-founder of ETS Rubasha Media, the Rubasha Family Podcast. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. Can you tell me more about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Elizabeth, and I'm a luxury business consultant, and I've spent the last 20 years in the luxury industry. Before that, I was a microbiologist. Then I became a headhunter. I was recruiting chief executives. I was recruiting chairmen and C-suite executives. And then 2008, I started my own business. And I started doing, working with very ultra high net worth individuals, billionaires, royal families around the world. And I was flown out to deliver my product to them. So I was working in the events industry, the wedding industry. And then when the pandemic hit, a lot of people started asking me to talk about the luxury industry, especially small businesses, because we have the big brands in the luxury industry that tended to dominate, but nobody was talking about the small businesses. So I started championing the small businesses, and I set up the Diversity in Luxury Awards. We held our first awards in January this year, and we had over 50 brands from all over the world came to support, to inspire, and yeah, that's it about me.
Wow, that's really, really powerful. So yeah, because I had did my little bit of research, and I had seen the luxury, what inspired you about the luxury? To be honest, like, just a quick thought, like, it's like my mind's always in podcast mode. So like, that's why I'm just, it's so amazing how you just meet so many amazing people. So yeah, let me ask you, like, how did you, what about luxury? Because I can see you're very fashionable there, so.
Thank you.
That's right.
What I love about luxury is obviously I just have a deep love for it. I love quality, I love design, and more importantly, I love creativity. I say this a lot. I fell into luxury. I wasn't brought up, in a very rich family or luxurious family, but my parents were very well educated. My dad was an engineer. My mom was a teacher, insurance agent, and nurse. And they met in the UK, got married in the UK, had us in the UK, and then took us back to our home country, Nigeria. Now, here's the thing. My parents were very particular. They were not necessarily luxurious, but they were particular. So my dad would get his winter coats from Savile Row. He never paid full price. He would always get them during the sale, always during the sale, but he went for quality. So I knew the names of certain brands when I was little. I remember an aunt of mine giving me perfume, proper perfume, not Eau de Toilette or whatever. It was by Chanel. And I remember she had it specially made. and she gave it to me. I was 14. What did I, I didn't know anything. So I loved the smell. It was the smell that really got me. So I used to spray it every time I went out or every time I did anything. And I remember when the scent ran out from the bottle, I put the empty bottle in my clothes and the smell was still there. So, and my mum loved things like Irish linen. I didn't know that she was being extra particular, but to me, she loved Irish linen. She loved Italian leather. She loved Italian gold. So they were very, very particular about what they loved. They loved Swiss lace, for example. They knew the difference. So that to me was a kind of environment that I grew up in. And when I had the opportunity, after my studies, after I did my master's in microbiology in Nigeria, came back to the UK, I had the opportunity to be in an environment where it was all scientific, but then it was about quality as well. There were procedures, you had your lab, the standard operating procedures, they were called, and it was about consistency, and it was about doing things to the highest quality. Again, to me, that was luxury. And then when I had the opportunity to work as a headhunter, again, I was lucky. I ended up recruiting the very top tier. So all through, it was about luxury, but I think my understanding is that luxury comes in different forms. Luxury is not standard, and luxury does not begin and end with branded products or the big brand names that we know. So yeah, that's my journey and my love for luxury.
And wow, it's so crazy because I feel like you've just opened something in me just by listening to what you just said there. And I actually just wrote it down because that's really powerful. When I think of luxury, like we just talking about, you think of the brand name, but luxury, like you said, is consistency and highest quality. So yes, the luxury with, like, let's say the fashion, that's just an extension of who you are deep inside when it comes to that consistency and high quality. And I can see that you got that from mum. Wow, that's really, really powerful.
Yeah, and I think that another thing about luxury that I say, luxury can also be culture. So sometimes because of the love, because what the branded product industry, what they've done is to literally put emotion into their brand. So whenever you see a brand, you feel this emotional resonance or emotional pull towards it. So it's like me and Chanel. I'm a Chanel girl. Anytime I see anything Chanel, it doesn't matter what it is. And I'll give you an example. I think it was 2 Christmases ago or last Christmas, there were, TikTokers, they review Christmas advent calendars, and the Chanel one was reviewed. And to be honest, it wasn't good. It was not good. But the number of people that jumped in defending Chanel, saying, even if it's a piece of paper, we do not care. It's Chanel. If you can't afford Chanel, go buy another brand. And people were literally fighting for their lives and defending. And it just goes to show the emotional resonance and the emotional pull that these brands have on our psyche. And to be fair, they've spent millions of dollars. They've spent years and years and years developing this brand, developing this emotional storytelling. And when we are able to afford such a brand, we see it as an extension of our personal brand. So this is where this is how I think about luxury, again, with emotion. And like I said earlier, with our culture as well. I come from a cultural background where it's full of color, it's full of life. There's something about our fabrics or our outfits, the jewelry, the hair, the makeup, the steez, the sunglasses, etc., that really, really excites me. So who's to tell me that that is not luxury? Who's to tell me that I've got to measure my culture against a particular brand? Why can't both coexist in me as a person. So this is why I started diversity in luxury. And also the future of luxury is actually diversity, because if you look at hard, solid facts, so financials, for example, because China has not been spending as much money on branded luxury goods, a lot of companies, a lot of luxury brands are literally feeling the pinch. They're not selling as much as they did, and it's showing in their numbers. So which tells me that the reliance on China is actually a dangerous thing, because there are now other pockets of a luxury coming up. So to give an example, Japan. Japan is now one of the big spenders on luxury. South Korea, per head, they spend more on luxury branded goods than any other country in the world. In Africa, the big five, you've got South Africa, you've got Egypt, you've got Nigeria, you've got, I don't know if it was Namibia or Rwanda, but you've got the top five. So, and again, India as well. You've got an emerging middle class in India that are spending so much money on luxury goods. So who's to tell us that, diversity is not important in luxury? So once we recognize our spending power, we will then recognize how important we are to the luxury industry.
Wow. So two-part question, because I want to go back to the Chanel thing, because also like that, a lot of what we do, I'll give you just a little bit of backstory because you touched on it a little bit, is personal branding. And, it's a little bit of like, you reaching out in terms of, hey, like I want to be on podcasts because you want to build your brand, right? And I think that's a great idea. So with Chanel, like you said, these companies, they use the emotional storytelling, something that, we love doing. It's everything. But is there a personal brand there? Who is the person behind Chanel? So yeah, maybe you can educate, because how have they got it so good? Because I've always seen, can you last in the marketplace without a personal brand? And nowadays, for me, not really. Like, your personal brand is everything. It's your reputation, right? So let me ask you, like, because yeah, I don't know. That's actually a good point. Chanel, and because there is such a, I think it's also like, let's say, especially with like Africans, Black people, it's like when you get Chanel or the Louis V, it's like a status thing. Like I've, yeah, like you guys can't afford this, like I've made it in a way. So what is that? Is that a personal brand in terms of, people wanting to connect to the person behind the company? Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I love that. That is a great. And actually, it plays very well into my new book coming out in September. It's called The Luxpreneur. And I'll tell you a bit more about it. But let's unpack your two-part question. So the first thing about luxury goods as an extension of your personal brand, that is absolutely key. Because what I did in my book was I identified 8 different types of luxury clients. And so let's take what you've just said. That type of client will be an aspirational. So you aspire to be better. You aspire to be a better version of yourself. You aspire to have a certain lifestyle, to have a certain kind of image, etc., etc. And that's absolutely great, because the aspirational luxury client, they are the bedrock of the luxury industry. Because when you look at the luxury industry, you can split what they sell into 3 levels. It's a lot more complicated than that, but for argument's sake, you split them into 3 levels. So the first level, you have your perfumes, your lipsticks, your beauty products, etc.
Like accessories, could you call it? Is that accessories?
Some accessories. So a key ring, for example. Even if you can't afford a Chanel bag, you can afford a key ring, right? Okay, so for that, you might have to save up for a month to be able to get that, because obviously you've got to pay your bills, you've got other things. Then you've got the next level, which is the handbags and the the jackets, the off the rack stuff. Maybe you pay a couple of £1,000, etc., for those, or you might pay 10 grand or whatever. For that, you might need to save up for a year, for example, to be able to afford that handbag. And then you have the next level up, which is the couture. So couture, we're talking 5 figures, 6 figures for sure, for some brands in particular. So my point is, not everyone can afford couture. So as you're moving up in your life, so you're able to afford a Chanel perfume, for example, my aunt giving me one, then I'm able to afford a keyring, then I'm able to afford a handbag. And then maybe, if I hit the lottery or my generations do really well for themselves, I might be able to afford couture. So that is how the luxury, a typical luxury company roughly is split. Now, how does that play into our personal brand? Now, me being able to afford a Chanel perfume, I can go on TikTok, I can say, I tested these perfumes, this is my favorite, blah, 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 blah. For the handbag, once I move up another level, I can say I go out to a party or a networking event, I can show off my Chanel handbag. And I'm Nigerian and we are quite ostentatious. We do love to show off. I have heard stories of women going to a party and everyone has their Chanel handbag and somebody going back home to bring hers, just so she can feel a monk or she can belong. So my point is, there's a massive role that these branded goods play in building up personal brand and esteem, because whether we like it or not, as human beings, we are quite shallow. I'm not saying we're not deep and philosophical, but there's a part where, and this is what luxury brands understand. They've paid psychologists, and this goes to your other part of the question: who's behind the brand, and how do these brands last for generations? So a little bit of a secret: they pay psychologists, they understand their clients very, very well. And another thing they do is that they evolve over generations. So let's take Chanel. Chanel was set up by Coco Chanel. That was her nickname, Coco. Her real name was Gabrielle Chanel. And her background was, I think she lost her mom and her dad literally donated her or took her to an orphanage. When she got to the orphanage, she was taught how to sew by nuns. And then she started sewing, and then she made friends, again, networking. As being the aspirational networker that she is, she made friends with very rich men and women. And one of these men set her up in business, and she started a new type of business where she didn't like frou-frou gowns that were all the rage. So she used very simple materials, jersey, tweed. Tweed is very hardy. It can be very rough, but she got the best tweed from Scotland. And then she almost invented the little jacket, the little black jacket. Then she also made fashionable women wearing trousers. So if you're going horse riding, if you're just pottering around your mansion, etc. So her reputation grew amongst women, and that's how she got her start. Now, I talked about her perfume number 5. She created a story. We don't know if it's true or not, but we're taking it as the truth. But she created the story that the reason she called the perfume number 5 was that she approached a Russian nose to create a perfume for her. And the 5th bottle that she smelled was the one she fell in love with. And that's why it's called Chanel number 5. And that story has persisted through folklore. Every time I buy number 5, I'm actually buying an extension of Chanel. Oh, this is the smell she loves. This is what, So again, this is how luxury brands, this is how they persist. This is how, and over the years, obviously, as fashion changed, the styles evolved, but they still kept the spirit and the essence of the founder. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, you ended it off with a great answer, just because you see how you went in and told me the story of Chanel, right? So when you just said earlier that you've always bought for Chanel, you're a big fan. Okay, now I understand why. You understand the founder's story going back, and now I'm imagining her in that moment and what she went through with her parents, and going and then starting such a company. So it's always connecting back to the personal brand, and like I really feel that's why it's so important to do what we're doing, because like when someone buys into you, coming to you or to myself, it's an extension of themselves, right? The personal brand, the founder that they're looking into is just an extension of themselves that they want to tap into and embrace. And that's really, really powerful. So what's your business model then?
For me, what I do is I have, there's a speaker side. So I go around the world and I teach and I speak on luxury. And especially I tend to resonate with people who want to set up luxury brands, or people who have set up their business, but they want to know how to attract rich clients or luxury clients, because nobody has ever really, because all the academic books that I've read on luxury, they've been written by professors of luxury or people who have run big brands, but they've never been written from the perspective of a founder. So that's where I come in, and that's where I can say, okay, when you're a founder and you're bootstrapping and you haven't got any money, this is what you need to do. So I have that as one part of my business. But my other business, which I did for many, many years, it was based mostly on what I would call the upper end. So it was more couture, it was more bespoke. So people came to me for a bespoke item, and that was what I delivered. And that, in my mind, is what I call true luxury. However, the pandemic has shown that there are pros and cons to such a model, because when you have a model where it's mainly bespoke and that's all you do, you don't leave room for what if you can't reach your clients? What if you can't XYZ to your clients? So that made me really rethink my business model. And that's why I'm now heavily into the speaking side, the teaching side, and that's why I put everything I know into a book. And because that way you need what I'm now teaching is, even as a business owner, you need something that will generate passive income, multiple sources of income, passive income that you don't need to do. You do it the one time and then it brings passive income. And for me, there is no better thing than writing a book, because a book is your best business card, is your best. And I remember when I wrote my first book about 10 years ago, it was a cake book, because I'm a cake maker, and that's so when I wrote my first book, it was the best calling card I could ever have, because I sent it to hotels, I sent it to so many luxury shops and brands, etc., and I got lots of collaborations from that. So now that I've written my second book, which is about luxury business from starting right through to growing it to a certain point, because I don't address the next step, which is getting external finance, because that's a different book. Because getting funding, etc., that is a different book, and that is a different kettle of fish. And especially if you're a woman or if you're a person of color. We had, in fact, not 0.01% of all VC funding comes to women and people of color in particular. So that is a different, so some people have, I know one or two people who have been extremely successful in getting funding, which is great. So, and for me, the next book will address that. That is the kind of thinking that we need to have as entrepreneurs, and especially as people of color, if we are creating our own businesses and our own futures. So that roughly for me is the business model that I'm operating right now.
You're setting up, just setting up that empire, right? So you got the book, because I think that's really powerful with the book, the speaking, which I want to go to, which is really great. But with the book, have you ever heard of 7-Eleven-4?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and the book is part of that, right? So like for someone to buy from you, for you to gain that know, like, and trust factor, can someone
Yeah.
consume 7 hours of your content? Now, of course, I'm really big on this side of things of,
Yeah.
but the book as well, that's content. That is someone can go in and spend 7 hours reading your book. So I think that's something that I've eventually want to a next project like with this content things. But yes, and I can definitely see you like, do you ever thought of like starting your own podcast?
I do have my own podcast.
Oh, you do have yours.
I have my podcast. It's
Mm.
called the Luxury Business Podcast. And again, it's one of the few podcasts talking about small businesses in the luxury industry. That's what I focus on. So I look for unusual businesses or a business by, diverse business. So I love, again, I
Sorry,
don't just
sorry. Just sorry to cut you off, but the luxury.
the luxury business podcast.
Okay.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I love featuring unusual people. So yesterday, for example, I met someone who is actually a nose, because I know we spoke about perfume earlier on. He's a nose, and
Mm-hmm.
he's created perfumes for people like Diana Ross.
Mm-hmm.
And the perfume he created for Diana Ross, it sold $1 million, actually $1.5 million in one day on QVC. He's created a perfume for One Direction, for a lot of celebrities all around the world. So, and I've been looking to interview a nose because I love perfume. So when I met him yesterday, I was like, oh my God, the universe is talking, talking to me. I mean, the universe answered. So I was so happy. So podcasting, again, I love it because it gives me the opportunity to platform people and highlight incredible achievements. I remember highlighting an ethical jewelry brand. They specialize in emeralds. We had a lovely chat. I spoke to a professor who is about brand love. So lots and lots of different people, age, race, all over the world. So yeah, I'm very much about the podcast life now.
You're clocking in those hours, and with your podcast, audio, video.
Just audio,
Just audio.
because I want to do video, but then now I'm thinking maybe season 4, because I've done 3 seasons so far, and I'm thinking season 4 should definitely be video, because that way I can put the content on YouTube. So I'm really thinking about that. So that, I know, because it's as if I know what you're trying to say, and I'm actually trying to answer your question that you've not asked me and defend myself at the same time.
You kind of know what I'm gonna say. The only reason
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, the only reason, because I speak to people all the time and they have audio only, and when they tell me that, I'm like, come on, like I get it. I know sometimes with the video, but like even for this, for example, like this
Yeah.
Zoom, this has been such an amazing, like this could just be, this is a podcast episode. I won't
Yeah.
even, I rarely edit it, right? Just start, boom, go out, put a really nice thumbnail, and I know people will watch it. But
Yeah.
that's the point is, yeah, you gotta get the video to the face, because then now, because of the industry that you're in, you can now leverage content on there for your LinkedIn, right? So there's a
Oh,
face to the
absolutely.
name, So I
Yeah.
think your season 4, yeah, get out there, and I think that will take you to another stratosphere, because you're doing so many things. And also I like how you're also reaching out to get on other people's podcasts. Like that's so great. That's something I'm also now, like, because I'm just also always on this and this and this, but it's good for you to now continue that run, because you're a speaker, and you're doing things, and just leverage that audience just because your book's coming out. So,
Yeah, I'm talking about that. After this show, if you contact me, I've got 2 names for you. That, who's podcasters that would probably, I would do the introductions. There are
and
2. They're based in the UK. One of them is in studio, but have a chat. Have a chat. You never know. He does travel a lot. And I remember that the last time he was in Dubai, he recorded a couple of episodes in Dubai. So I had a couple of contacts that I gave him in Dubai. So yeah, so I will facilitate that for you, because I think you know, appearing on podcasts for me, it can be, I think it potentially can be a game changer because podcast audiences, I just love. They're more engaged, more in tune, and they're listening specifically to that program to get the information. Yeah.
And that's why, like for example, we've been having this founder series, and like social media has changed. Why I say that, because now it's about interest graph. So you could have people who never heard of you, never even heard of me, but the way we put the description and all the wording behind it, and what the AI does is, this is about luxury brands. It will now put that like content in front of the right people. It's kind of like, I realize like social media, it's kind of like manifestation. If you think about something and like that's in your alignment, now you're going to see content within your alignment. So like, just like this conversation now, once this is uploaded, there's a group of people that will come in. Of course, we have our audience, but other group of people over time, something that lives on forever, 2, 3, 4, this. And I was even thinking like, affiliate, we do a lot of affiliate marketing sometimes. That could be a great with your book, right? We like maybe Amazon, I don't know, they do some affiliate things. Now, like in this video, 2, 3 years, 4 years later, after this, it's a conversation I've just had with you, people are buying your book. They're watching it. Like, it's just the greatest time we're living in. And I'm also proud of you to, you know, spread out this love. And, you know, you really taught me quite a bit, like things I never even saw or noticed.
Thank you. And also, but remember, the teaching is both ways. I'm of a completely generation. I'm probably 2 generations removed from you. And I think, and what I love, and this is why I love platforms like TikTok, because I learned so much. The learning has been incredible. I'm constantly learning. I have that kind of mind where I just want to learn as much as I can. And I think you're absolutely right. These times, especially with AI, as soon as it came out 2022, ChatGPT, I jumped on it. Mid-Journey, I was on the Discord server. I didn't understand half of what the developers were talking about, but it didn't matter. I knew I was right there. So when I'm of the generation, I saw the internet being born. So when you've seen the internet being born, and I was a scientist, and I remember one of the first search engines was called something called PubMed. I think it was published. It was a short for published medical journals. And then you do a search, and obviously the journal you put in wouldn't come up. But the fact that you could do a search, that was revolutionary. And the fact that I didn't have to go to a dusty library and search manually, and I could just do it from my desktop, that was incredible. So your generation is teaching as much as my generation is teaching. So I think the knowledge transfer is going both ways.
And it's like, we're really taking advantage of this era, because like, and I think about it, and I do the same thing with, for example, my dad and mom, right? Like where we have conversations just like, you know, mom and dad, but the same thing as me and you are doing now. It's like, I'm learning from you, you're learning from me, but then like we use it in the betterment of our empires, and like we get content out of it. Like I literally, like the podcast has been like changed my life, being able to just sit down and listen and be present and really listen to what you're saying. And then it's like, you know, that back and forth, and so amazing. I did want to ask you, what is a challenge that you're facing right now in what you're trying to do, and in your vision, and you're so focused? What's a challenge?
I would say a couple of things really. The Diversity in Luxury Awards, I really want to get that off the ground, because the vision I have for it is that people from all over the world, people in different luxury industries from all over the world, will come to London for the awards. So I want to make the awards quite big.
Sorry, or like you build out the award. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's my vision. My vision was worldwide, it was global. And the first one, I actually had people fly in from the Middle East, from Italy, from Paris, from Nigeria. So I had, although there were only 50 brands in the room, but they did fly in. So I was like, I was like, whoa, this is incredible. So major challenges looking for sponsorship and partnership with luxury brands. And because it's my first one, it's unproven, whatever, but I don't care. I'm very resilient and persistent anyway, so that doesn't bother me. So the second challenge would be around my book. I want to get my book everywhere. My book's going to be on Amazon in September. It's done. We're just doing a few things. I'll send you the link to it, but I want to really get my book out. And the reason being that, especially to the younger generation, and especially because a lot of entrepreneurial books, they give you, it's almost as if you're given a map. So you're flown to a country that you've never been to before, and you're handed a paper map, and you're told, adios, see you, bye. That's entrepreneurship. So you've got to find out for yourself. However, I think what my book has done is to demystify a number of things, because I like taking complex things and breaking them down, because I don't like using big language, etc., etc. I've spoken a bit about luxury. I've spoken about the 3-tier model. I've spoken about different types of luxury clients. It's not rocket science. It's just knowing. It's having the knowledge and applying the knowledge. That's what's missing. So in my book, I talk about the different types of luxury brands, because they're not all the same. And I break them down into 5 or 6 types, the different types of luxury brand personas. So you as a founder, so for example, when I did the test, I came out as an artisan. And as an artisan, I'm all about perfection. I'm all about creating one-offs, etc. And that's great. But here's a problem. Without a sound business manager, I will never make any money, because I'll keep buying materials. Oh my God, there's a new leather out. There's a new this out. There's a new tool. That's what I'll keep doing. I will never, ever, ever make money if I carry on like that. Then I also need to get a good marketing person around me to help me market. So I've broken down the different types of personas that I've met in my almost 20-year journey in the luxury industry. I also broke down the different types of luxury clients, which many people, I know that's a section that people want to read. And then I tell you how to find the clients online and offline. And I tell you how to market to them, which is very, very important, because you can have the same, most important. So you can have one product, for example, pair of glasses. How do you market this pair of glasses to 8 different people? That's what luxury brands do. So if I say Rolex, for example, we all recognize Rolex. Many people I know want to get a Rolex, but all these people are different. And I use this example. If you take Ozzy Osbourne, you know Ozzy Osbourne, the musician, old, you know, he's a bit older now. And you take King Charles, everybody knows King Charles. Would you believe that they're born on the same day, the same year, same age, and they're both white males? Would you market to them the same?
No.
Exactly. But they're both luxury clients, aren't they? But they're different types of luxury clients.
Yeah, they're different types.
They're different types of, but if you went by demographics, if you went by just ordinary demographics, they're both white males, same age, and you would market to them the same. And they both speak English, right? They're both British, they speak English, but yet they're different. So in the book, I've used celebrity examples, because obviously I couldn't talk about my real clients because I don't want to betray confidentiality, but I've used celebrities to explain the different types. And as soon as you think of the celebrity, you're like, yeah, that's true. Or if you research the celebrity, because I've used celebrities people have never heard of, and I've used celebrities that people have heard of, and I've also used different generations of celebrities as well. So even if you're not the same age, you can belong to the same type. And even if you're not the same race or culture, you can belong to the same type.
And if you belong to the same type, you can market to that specific
type.
But that's
type.
That's actually quite difficult. And the reason I say difficult, because That's very interesting, because like that's something that when I speak to business owners giving them advice, the first problem we go to is, who is your target audience? That is my thing.
Exactly.
Because once we can
Exactly.
get that, then all of our marketing, we're speaking their language, we know what they love, we know their
Yeah.
pain points, we know
Yeah.
everything about them.
Yeah.
But in this concept, I think what you're
But
teaching is,
no,
mhm,
but what I'm talking about,
mhm,
what you're saying niche, right?
mhm,
You're
mhm.
saying niche. I'm saying there are niches within the niche.
But that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's
And remember, this is luxury. This is not mass market. So, for
yeah.
example, if it was a big supermarket chain, I wouldn't tell them to niche down
Mhm,
that level, because they're about mass. You know, it's mass.
mhm,
The profit margins are very slim. So we're talking about, yeah, mass market, and then with one or two products, you can niche slightly, but not too much. But with luxury, I'm saying you can niche within the niche. So not many people are going to buy luxury anyway. But if you're going to charge, so for example, we spoke about couture. So how many people do you know would spend 6 figures on a piece of clothing? Not many.
no.
However, if you can then niche down and say, okay, this particular person is this type, therefore, this is the best brand for you. Amazing. So it means that almost every person that walks into that particular brand would definitely buy from them, because they've been niched down. And that is exactly what luxury brands do for the couture. So they invite, so, you know, if you think about the couture shows, because in Paris, they have something called Couture Week, and then there's Fashion Week. So Couture Week is different, is getting the best of the best of the best to their atelier, and it's private. But Fashion Week is more, here's a massive show. So they put on a show, get the influencers, get the rich people, but not everyone enters into the inner sanctum. So that's what I'm trying to say with certain luxury brands. But, and remember, I said not all luxury brands are created equal. So there are still luxury brands where you don't have to niche that much. It's about knowing what type of luxury brand am I creating. So if you want to create something for the not 0.1% or the 1% of the 1%, go ahead and do it. But you know that you're only going to sell one item a year. So if you sell, I know someone, you know, they design yachts. Do you think they're going to design 100 yachts a year, or 5 or 10 or 1? So think about it that way.
And I love, like, for example, how they, for example, the fashion show Couture, like, how do you say it again?
Couture.
Couture. Yeah.
Couture.
Like you qualify people at the door. Like when you niche, like in that audience sector, you niche down, you qualify people immediately. So you don't
Straight
waste
away.
your time. You don't waste your
Exactly.
time, you know.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know.
And that's why they even create waiting lists. So it's about exclusivity and rarity. So they even create, and you know, it's a tactic, it's a marketing tactic, accessibility. So it's limited. So they create these waiting lists. So people literally imagine there's, I know some brands, they find it hard to sell a £500 bag, yet there's a waiting list for a £10,000 bag or a £20,000 bag. And people are so grateful to be included on the list. Then they finally get the handbag, they do an unveiling. Oh my God. And I'm thinking, so again, it's about the marketing. It's about, you know, how you raise your product, how you elevate, there's a lot that goes into it. So I try to give as much as I can in the book.
Wow, powerful. Yeah, you'll send me the info on that. I definitely still
Yes.
want to see. I don't know if I think we have to go through Amazon. Definitely in terms of an affiliate type of thing where we can put that in, and like and I can definitely see more collaborations in the future. So now every time someone's interested to learn, they can go in and buy your book, because I think, like you said, everyone should have a book. Well, every entrepreneur, founder, a great way to earn passive income. So thanks so much. I didn't expect it. Like, it's not that I didn't expect it. I didn't think, usually, like, this type of conversation, we don't do it on the podcast yet. It's more like just for me to get to know you and just, fall in love with who you are and your mission and your vision and alignment. And then like on the show, but like also, and now we've been so busy with just, show after show after show. So to just have this and now we can just put this out to the world, like, this is amazing. Yeah, like.
Exactly. Because I always come prepared, because at the end, and this is an important thing for an entrepreneur, even if it's a pre-chat show, I've had so many pre-chat shows where they go, this is so good, don't change anything, we'll just put it on the show.
Oh,
because
really?
At the end, yeah, I've had a couple like, I've had a couple like this, because at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be me on the show, but there are things that come out during a natural conversation that we may not be able to repeat or get exactly. And there's a vibe that you get as well, where everyone's relaxed and it doesn't look as if the questions, you've sent me the questions and I've looked at them, because I haven't. Obviously, there's been no questions. So I just love this kind of thing. And yeah, feel free, you can upload it. And again, I'm happy to come back. We can have a chat about other things. It could be general entrepreneurship. It could be even, because the way I see your show, and if you don't mind me saying, people can send in their problems, send in their problems, and you can get 1 or 2 experts with yourself to chat around it. Again, I say to people, you can give away the produce, don't give away the whole farm, because this is what you do. You're a consultant, and I can imagine you're a personal branding consultant. So, but this is something where, because I think people want answers. They've listened to shows and that's great, but they also they might have problems, they might have situations, and that would help you to know, okay, where should I direct my next guests, or can we mix it up a bit? Because sometimes I just like mixing things up a bit just for the heck of it. So why not? So I can see, I see a massive future for your podcast.
Definitely. And also like, I think in terms of a collaboration, in terms of like our audience, in terms of the clients that I have, in your, you could say niche, in terms of high level CEOs, high level CEOs. So who knows where they may need they have that problem with the luxury and say, oh, hey, I know Elizabeth, you know what I mean? And I can also make that introduction, because it is like, again, like we were talking about with the marketing, with me, we partner with high level CEOs. So straight away, we disqualify everyone. So it's a very niche group. And so, talking with all of them, I think that could be, when that does come up, because I do see that every client that we work with has style, at the highest essence. That's why, and it's such a important part of life. So, and then also, by the way, in like, even me coming into podcasting, I remember like, reaching out to people say, hey, do you have like a list of questions you can like send me? But because I came in having conversations with my dad and mom, like it just started on the couch, that and I saw my dad and his mom, not as dad and mom, but I actually saw them as people, which was really powerful. Like I was like, wow, you guys are actually human beings, right? I just see you as dad and mom my whole life. You're actually
They're
people.
not just mom and dad. They have a life out of mom and dad.
They had a life. Mom was telling me, coming to Australia, she went through depression and all these things. And I'm like, I was a little kid running around, but I never know you gone through that. So I came into this exactly like what we talked about, just that authentic conversation. And that's why I've got to this point where I'm literally recording every part of my life, because that rawness, that authenticity is so powerful, because you realize that everyone is unique, everyone's special, everyone, I knew would have a great conversation. I knew that, but I didn't think maybe we'd just kind of put this out there like that. But so I think I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I was saying how, in terms of the question thing, like, even now, oh, can you send me a list of questions? And I've had, so-called big guests, and I'm like, I just have a conversation, so I really relate to what you were saying. Like, even if I did send that to you, like, no, I totally get that.
Yeah. And I also see, again, I think, again, with the evolution of your podcast, I see you on stages, talking about entrepreneurship. I see you traveling the world, because at the end of the day, I think people sometimes, I say this a lot, that you can do great things from a small place. especially now, as you rightly said, because of social media, because of you don't know where this is going to blow. And as far as I'm concerned, we can all do great things from a small place. And yeah, just continue the work you're doing. I think you're doing very important work. Well
You
done.
too, you too, Elizabeth, you too. And I can't wait. You know, I have a lot of family in London, so you know, I definitely do like to travel. I haven't been there in a while, but
Yeah,
definitely when I come, we'll have a
just let
live
me know.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, just let me know. We can, we can do a live, like you said, live. There are so many things we can do, but just let me know whenever you're in London. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, thank you so much for watching the Rubasha Family Podcast. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Go and follow Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I'm going to put all your details, link in the description. You guys can get in touch, you know, on your podcast, your book coming out. And, you know, for everything that you're doing, people can stay in touch. And we can't wait to have you on more.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.
You too. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're going to love that one.